Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whatever time zone you may be watching from this night. For us, for me, actually, it's 11 p.m. I'm in Barbados. My very, very special guest and friend and partner
In
in
crime.
crime and fun and gosh, we're going to get into all that, traveling the world. Bo Tanas is our guest, Royal Diamond guest speaker, former consultant of the year. And so just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you are interested in asking a question, we already have one standing by. Please feel free to send us a chat message on our Facebook. Just look for the Royal Alliance, add us to your friends list, send us a chat or a post, and we'll be watching that. We'll be watching our Google Plus chat or posts and our Twitter posts. In fact, our Twitter, join us at Twitter at Royal Alliance 1, the number 1. So, and I'll remind you again later in the call for anyone who just joined us a little bit late. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me not waste any time because we've waited a long, long time. In fact, it's quite uncanny, Bo, that we have not had a real interview of someone with such stature in Nikken who's been around as you have, who's had so much great success. There's a lot of things that we could say are synonymous with you. You truly represent what it means to stick to it, to stay with it, to continue to endeavor and forge ahead, irrespective. And one of the things I have to say as well about Bo Tanas that I find extraordinary, Bo, you're one of the calmest people I know. I mean, nothing seems to rock your world. Now, that may be because you're really good at keeping it inside, but there's been situations where even I haven't been able to be calm about it, and yet you have. So we're going to get into some of that as well. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hanging Out with Mike DiMuccio with our special guest, Bo Tanas, Royal Diamond, former consultant of the year. Hey, Bo.
Michael, hi. Hi, everybody. Pleasure and honor to be here right now, for sure.
Well, it's a pleasure and an honor to have you, Bo. Your story is so rich in experience because you've had such a multifaceted life. So it's not just a straight out of the box kind of life. You've gone through ups and downs. You've been self-employed. You've had jobs. You've had some pretty interesting experiences in professions prior to network marketing, prior to business. And so I thought maybe what we could do is rewind the clock and let people know where you actually got started. And I'm not talking about when you were born. So let's jump ahead to your early adult life and
no primal scream therapy.
No, you were a musician, in fact, a formidable musician, and you were touring with a band that was well recognized and published, a band called Edward Bear. You guys had a hit record, which as a kid growing up, I knew this record. Some of you out there may remember. It's the last song I'll ever write for you. Anyway, if you don't remember, that's okay too.
That means you're young if you don't remember.
The guy playing bass on that track is none other than Bo Tanas. And so, Bo, tell us about that life when you first got started in the profession.
Well, it was exciting. It's something I always wanted to do. I was a musician since I was a young child. I started with flutophone. Whatever it was called in school. Eventually became a trumpet player and played in marching bands all through high school. And when the Beatles came out, trumpet wasn't all that necessary, and we formed a band. And we already had a band, and we wanted to play rock and roll much more. And the leader of the group, Eric, still a lifelong good friend of mine, looked at me and said, "You're going to play bass." And I said, "What's bass?" So I found out what a bass was. He played guitar, so it all started there. And within a couple of weeks, we were playing rock tunes in high school gymnasiums in the mid-'60s, early '60s.
So how did that land into a recording contract, and what happened to you then?
Well, first of all, I'm not an original member of the band. That original band started in Toronto in the late '60s. I arrived in Canada in 1974. So I played in many bands after high school in New York, Pennsylvania, and Los Angeles. And I was playing with a really incredible band, which I will post on YouTube someday. A few bands I've been in. It just takes a lot of time to assemble the music and some videos and post it. But playing with a really incredible band in Los Angeles called Theta. Theta is the Greek word for spirit. And all the bands were very spiritually oriented, if you will. And but we couldn't get a recording contract. It was sort of a combination of Tower of Power and Yes, if you remember those bands. So it was very unusual, kind of jazzy, not necessarily very pop-oriented. So after struggling for quite a while, I had an offer to play with Edward Bear sight unseen on the recommendation of a good friend in Los Angeles. And within days, I was in Toronto, and we were on the road. And I remember we were on we rehearsed for like 48 hours straight, nonstop. First of all, they sent me a box of reel-to-reel tapes in Los Angeles, so I played those, listened to them, played along to them, learned the songs. And we rehearsed for about 48 hours, 72 hours, and then we got on the bus, and the first thing I remember, we just finished a sound check in Thunder Bay, a hockey arena in Thunder Bay, and it was about 2 in the afternoon, and it was snowing and sunshine in May. and the drummer looks at me and goes, "Welcome to Canada, kid."
That's a real example of ready, fire, aim. I mean, you guys were just right out there, and not a lot. And in fact, that's probably set a good tone for your experience in Nikken, because it was kind of like that at the very beginning in Nikken. Now,
that's a great point.
Really quick, in terms of the traveling and so forth, how did that experience enable you to, or how did you transition from the life of a musician to an entrepreneur? How do you go from here to there?
Well, first of all, as a musician, you are an entrepreneur. Although you have a paycheck and you work for someone, you're not really punching a clock per se, and so you have the sense of, you got to keep track of your expenses. You have to keep track of your income. So there's a bit of that. But what happened was after touring an awful lot, I did get sick and tired of it, and I married my first wife. And we were looking to start a family, and just traveling didn't appeal to me. It's like been there, done it, coast to coast, from the biggest venues in Canada, Ontario Place, packed, to crummy bars. And I played probably 1,000 bars. Of course, back then everybody was smoking, right? So, like, I never go to bars anymore. Don't need it. Been there. So I realized what happened was actually, I got a number of jobs. I tried home renovations. I did that for a while. Being trained as a musician doesn't really set you up for anything else. And so, and I did some studio work in the city, but I was not a good reader. Sight unseen, reading music, fast, instant, boom, go. I had to rehearse, practice the tune. And so I didn't do well as a session musician, although I had some great experiences with some really incredible players. But I got a job with a small advertising company, and long story short, I realized I never want to work for somebody else again. I realized that the owners of the company didn't start the business for Bo Tanas, because we were going through sometimes financial troubles, and they were in Florida on the beach sucking money out of the company. We couldn't pay salaries in Toronto. Like, who are these people? So I realized, okay, they built the business for their own benefit, and I've never worked for anybody since. That was 25 years ago.
Great lesson at an early stage in life to learn, I'll say.
Yeah, important.
So you had 2 children, 2 boys, one of which, interestingly enough, has gone on to be a very successful musician himself in his own right, touring and playing with a very successful band from Canada.
Although he's moving Thursday in 2 days to Los Angeles.
Oh, goodness.
Forming a whole new band. Wow. Anyway, that's another story.
Good for him. Okay, so now, you're a dad, 2 kids, you're an entrepreneur. How did that work out for you?
Well, in the long run, after those jobs, I realized I wanted to start my own business, and a friend of mine had a video business, a wholesale video business. And in the early 80s, the video market was burgeoning. It was growing. Video stores were springing up like weeds. And so we became wholesalers on a small scale to a lot of video stores. And I had a run. I was all over Ontario, especially from Toronto, West London, Sarnia, everywhere, every week. And although
Hey, Bo, what's the videotape? Just
yeah, just after they invented the wheel and fire, they had this thing called a VHS. But that leads me to an important point. I remember, because although I was working for myself and kind of on commission, when the new releases would come out on a Thursday or Friday, I had a whole van with security bars in it, shelves, 2,000 videos in it, and I would go from video store to video store. But when the new releases come out, you'd have to go to your major clients, bang, right away, and I'd be moving real fast. But I remember one day driving down the QEW highway in Toronto, about 4 in the afternoon, rushing out to London, Ontario to deliver the latest releases to my customers. And I noticed people were golfing. I'm driving along, and people are on a golf course. I'm thinking, what the heck do they do for a living? I mean, I'm going to be up till midnight and then come back to Toronto. Like, what's going on here? So I became very curious what people do for a living and different ways of earning income. That image never left me. Like, okay, something's going on and nobody's clued me into it. I got to find out. Because I'm not living in the big house. I'm not driving the Mercedes. You know, obviously those guys aren't delivering videos.
And so what'd you find out?
Well, I found out you have to become an entrepreneur. And at that point, shortly thereafter that, I was expecting, we were expecting my second child, Alex, the musician. And I didn't want to travel as much anymore, so I wanted to, I decided to open my own video store called Hollywood Movies in Thornhill, Ontario, right around Yonge Street, and opened up. It was very successful. Opened up a second store. It was very successful, and I mean, it's kind of a fun thing to walk into your store. You got employees. The movies, you know, big screens, you know, well, big TVs at the time, and the store is packed with people. And so I felt like I'm an entrepreneur, man. I've got this thing nailed. Well, what happened was, of course, that I had an opportunity to open up a restaurant. And I didn't follow my banker's advice. He said, Bo, you don't know restaurants, you know video. Anyway, the restaurant wiped me out. It was a good idea on paper, but the customers just weren't there, and there was a changing market, long story short, and lost a huge amount of money. So if it doesn't kill you, you know, they say it makes you stronger. And so I learned a lot of lessons from it. It's not just what you make, it's what you keep. Mm-hmm. And so traditional business, when it doesn't work, it really hurts.
Okay.
And so,
then I know you went into real estate not long thereafter.
And then I got into network marketing, and where I
you cut your teeth on a company that we both learned about. I think you got involved a little bit before I did, and both of us sort of learned about network marketing, you could say, in that experience. Very short-lived for me, and while I fell in love with the idea, and I'm sure you did as well, I fell more in love with the people and the attitude of the people. I just found myself surrounded by people who were so positive and optimistic about the future that it just oozed around them, and I wanted to be around people like that. How did it hit you? Absolutely
the same way, and you know, looking for solutions, looking for possibilities rather than for excuses. And when I got started, at that point, financially, I was rock bottom, lost everything, and got into real estate, because once you're an entrepreneur, it's hard to go work for somebody else. In fact, at that very time, this is the early 90s, I remember going down to Manpower, you know, an employment office in Toronto, and looking at the board of jobs available, and engineer, this degree, that degree, that degree, 10 years experience, starting salary $35,000. What? Like in Toronto, you couldn't live on that kind of income for a family. And so I could find nothing to support an average family in an expensive city that Toronto is. So I had to become an entrepreneur. So I got into real estate, and I experienced the tremendous power of bad timing. I got my license.
For the second time, it seems.
And I got my license just as the market was crashing. But it led me to my sponsor, Nikken, Bruce Black, who...
And I remember that meeting. So 3 of us are sitting in the living room. We're watching a video called Humans Being More. And Bruce had invited you. And I'd already sponsored Bruce, although I think he may have been 1 day old in Nikken, maybe 2 at best. It was winter, I remember that. So you got started same time I did. It was December of 1991, thereabouts. And, okay, so here you are, very successful guy, Bruce Black. How did you know Bruce, by the way?
Real estate. I was a real estate agent. I had some clients from Denmark who were looking to rent a big home, and I took them to all the best neighborhoods in Toronto. They said, no, something a little nicer. I went from Rosedale to here to there. Eventually we wound up in Unionville, and where Bruce had lived. Beautiful home on with a tennis court, a couple of acres, swimming pool, on a golf course. You know, just a really beautiful, beautiful place. And so I had gotten to know him, and you know, kind of became friends. And he told me about this amazing experience he had with these products, and I was kind of surprised that he was involved in this. And
so you were surprised that he was involved in network marketing.
He didn't need the money.
To be clear.
I mean, I
Right.
was broke. I needed the money. I needed to make something happen, and I wasn't kidding, right? So, two kids, no money. It's a serious situation.
And at that time, you were a single dad?
Yeah.
Okay, so really tough situation to be in, and yet somehow there was a silver lining in this cloud, and it was something in your belief, I guess, in Bruce, maybe not so much in Nikken yet, but in the credibility of the person who introduced you to this
There's got to be something
relationship.
here. This very well-known, famous millionaire wouldn't be doing this if there was,
You
if it was
realize that
smoke
it
and mirrors.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't money driven. It was driven by something much deeper than that, and yet there was a lot of money being made, as you quickly learned. Yeah.
Absolutely, and as you know, Bruce, and anybody who does know, he is not a materialistic person, one of the most spiritual persons I ever met. In fact, I remember going through his house when I was showing it to clients, and he had like sort of like a life cycle. He had gone to landmark training and other,
Ah, yeah.
other things like that, and he had all these beautiful affirmations on this big board in his living room. I kept walking by it, and of course I knew what it was about, but we didn't talk initially about it. So he's a beautiful soul, and when the products helped him, um, well, you did the first meeting, and I was there.
Yeah, and that meeting was pretty straightforward because I was by no means an expert. I just simply did the power play. I pushed power, pushed play, let the video do its thing. A couple of demonstrations.
Yeah, no PowerPoint. It was just the video and.
Now that's and certainly you were familiar with videos. In fact, I just want to point this out too, and we'll probably get back to this because you, of all the people I know, have probably been the most consummate user of tools, promotional materials. No matter what country we would go in, when we'd open up Montreal or we would open up Mexico, Bo Tanas would be carting around the heaviest suitcase on the planet. There must have been 1,000 videotapes in those things. Videotapes, audio cassettes, promotional materials, printed matter, and so forth. You never left home without it. I mean, it became the means by which you built a large international business, and to this day, still do.
And, things in business either cost you money or they make you money. And tools are the best possible investment because they speak for you, and, they work 24/7. They never make a mistake. And when we opened Australia in 2000, I went there with 3 extra suitcases with hundreds of audio cassettes, Mike. These were cassettes.
What's a cassette?
What's a cassette? And because those audios would speak for me after I had left. They were training materials by Reed Nelson, and other people. Some of your stuff was there, some of my stuff. So the tools, anybody who doesn't use tools doesn't realize what business they're actually in. It's about creating leverage. And of course, to get into network marketing, we want to leverage our time and efforts through the time and efforts of the people in our network. However, to create that network on a part-time basis, you got to contact and inform dozens, if not hundreds of people, certainly dozens within the first few months and hundreds in your first year. And you can't make those presentations one-on-one.
What were your stats at the beginning there? What did it look like for you getting started?
I got him right here because I was just talking to someone yesterday. She's probably on the line. Hi, Sandra. And I share these numbers often with people because I've been in network marketing before, like you. You and I had a tremendous advantage. We weren't wondering the day we joined Nikken, what's a magnet and what's network marketing. We had the network marketing thing down. We knew it was a viable business, right? We met, remember, so many professional people,
yep,
doctors and lawyers. So we had that down.
We knew network marketing worked, so we didn't have to convince ourselves of that fact.
So it's like a car. Once you know a car is real, the question is, how do you drive the car? Not do you drive the car? And I remember calling up Reed Nelson. I think you had given me his number because you joined. The next day Bruce joined. The next day I joined. Pretty well within a week we were all in the same business. So I called Reed Nelson like you had, and he said, AOMA, all out massive action. My question was, how did you do it? Like, he made a lot of money quickly, $500,000 in his first year. Now, he had a lot of network marketing experience, so he knew how to drive the car like what's his name? Andretti. Mario Andretti. And so I took that to mean to see a lot of people, because maybe you did like I did, a common mistake in network marketing. I sponsored a bunch of people, and a few of those people said they wanted to do something, but they weren't doing anything. So I thought I had to motivate them, Mike. I got to train them and hold them and cradle them like a hen with an egg. and they just sit on them. And I've learned that that didn't work. We all learned that. And so the question became, how can I introduce Nikken to many people, sponsor many, way more than I think I could even handle, because it's never a problem. Only a few out of the many are ready to actually run in a serious way right now. So here's my numbers. And Bruce said, or pardon me, Reed Nelson said large numbers, all-out massive action. So what I did was I created a plan which I later called the 100 and 100. Which is I wanted to see 100 people, put 100 tapes in 100 hands in 100 days. Because I didn't have much time. I had 2 kids, a very slow real estate business, stressful time. But I knew that I wanted to let the tool, the audio and or the video, do a lot of the talking for me. If you recall, in the previous company we were in, I'd call you up, Mike. I say, Mike, put the coffee on. I'm coming over. And I put the VHS in the thing. The VHS did the entire presentation. We had a little water filter. We taste the water, and that was it. Everything was done by the audio or the video. And I remember thinking back then, wow, I could get 100 of those things out to 100 people instead of 1 or 2 a week, 5 or 10 a day. And because although I had been in business and I performed for thousands of people at a time in certain instances, I didn't like to speak to people in public. I was not a public speaker. And basically, if I'm at a party, unless I know people, I'm pretty shy or quiet. So I saw the value of the tool. Let it do the presentation flawlessly. Because the first presentation you did, we just watched a really bad copy of a videotape.
That's right.
But it was killer information. You know, just astounding testimonials put on by a very world-famous doctor. That's a joke, right, Mike? We found out later he wasn't so world famous.
He wasn't even a doctor.
But anyway, the power of the tool is what liberates anybody from having extreme skill. Just as a little aside, I don't want to diversify too much from the story, but I was just talking to a musician friend of mine. I just came up from Pennsylvania, and one of the musicians I played with many years ago, we were talking about songwriting and technology, and he's pretty well into all kinds of, you know, computer technology. And it used to be that when we recorded with Edward Bear, we go into a studio downtown, Manta Studios, or some of these incredible studios. Cost $2 million to build, had a huge orchestra, room for an orchestra, just had the right echoes, and the computer room, you know, I mean, the control room looked like the Starship Enterprise. And now my son, just with a laptop and a program called
Quick Pro or
yeah, it's actually called Logic.
Logic, yeah, that's it. Logic.
And a little keyboard that activates can produce a hit record that sounds incredible right from that. So what the point is that the computer technology, as I heard a famous songwriter once speak, he said the technology liberates the creative mind from the tyranny of technique.
Huh.
I thought that was brilliant. You know, back then, 20, 30, if you couldn't play, you couldn't write a song. Or you could, but it was much more difficult. Larry Evoy actually was a drummer, and he told his keyboard player, bum, 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 bum.
Which is how I wrote music, actually. It's exactly how I did it.
So it can be done, but generally speaking, you have to be able to play. And
so
now,
what you're saying, Bo, is that the advent of technology, as it's progressed, particularly, like here we are talking, I'm in Barbados, you're in Toronto, we're talking on Skype, it's being recorded, it's being broadcast live. With the advent of this kind of technology in our business, it's making it more, not less possible for more people to enjoy the kind of success you and I've had.
And all anybody has to do is just get someone to watch one of these videos.
And there's the hard part. We're going to get to that in a second. I just want to make a mention to all the viewers and listeners who just joined us. If you have a question for myself or for Bo Tanas, please feel free to tweet us at Royal Alliance 1. That's the number 1. That's our tweet. We're watching our tweet messages. We're also watching our Facebook and Google Plus posts. You can go and search for The Royal Alliance at Facebook, or you can search for The Royal Alliance on Google Plus and send us a post message. We're watching that too, and we'll be notified of your question. And we do have already a question standing by. So back to this. Okay, so your numbers. Let's get back to those numbers, and then let's move to what did you actually say to these people to get them to watch? What would you recommend now? given there's been some changes here at Nikken?
You know, there's a saying that, you know, things are always changing, yet in some ways nothing is new under the sun. You know, if you read Cicero or Plato, those guys had a lot of stuff nailed back then. You know, some of the toys and some things have changed, yet everybody still breathes, needs love, needs work. So, and the same with Nikken. Basics are there. We use something, we believe in it, we want to get it out to a lot of people. This technology makes it a lot easier. And I know that if I went to Mexico, where I barely speak any Spanish, or went to any country, if I use Spanish tools and said, amigo, salud, you know, pointing at a CD or a tool of some kind, you know, health, salud y dinero, health and money, listen. And if I get out to, you know, 10 people a day, I'd find 1 or 2 a day who would be interested in presentation. So the tools, which are very easy to do, I don't have to make the presentation, let the tool do it, and large numbers. So what I did was, following Reed Nelson's advice and my experience with, didn't want to repeat the same mistakes of just sponsoring a few people, hoping they did something. I wanted to nail it, because I felt Nikken was going to be I just had a feeling, I'm sure like you did too, Mike, with the testimonials that we heard every day and at every preview. I couldn't believe what we were seeing and hearing every day. Put a product on someone, and minutes later, many people felt better.
Has that changed, Bo?
Nothing's changed. I mean, it's still amazing, right?
And, you know what I find even more so amazing, Bo? Take an example. The very first product Nikken developed was the MagStep. Way back in 1975 was the MagStep, the introduction product that launched this flagship company. And that product is more relevant today than it was when it first came out. Contrast that to your videotape business. There is no videotape business. And so that's amazing. Timing is important, and this is a company that seems to have something that's timeless because it's so fundamental.
And it's not even a product anymore. It's a concept of total wellness. So that's, nobody has what we had in the beginning.
Michelle Kowalczyk on Google Plus asks, what is the first tool you would lead with now, and which would you follow up with? Is there something particular that you use? An online tool? It
depends on the situation. First of all, I was very busy. I was out and about doing real estate. So when I decided to do the 100 and 100, the online activity was non-existent at the time. So let me just tell my story, and I still do a lot of it today, but of course I add the internet. I'm always adding. I'm never detracting from what I did. However, what I did was that I wanted 100 people to look at the information. I didn't want to sell them on Nikken, sell them on a meeting. I just want them to look at the information. To me, the information was so amazing. A global company, billions in sales, products nobody had ever seen or heard before, and they produced these amazing results. Listen to this. And so once, twice a day, I would want to contact someone and meet them somewhere. I made a list of 160-some people. I never even got through the list to this day, because I just met people and I had to use their list, right? Because when you sponsor someone, you're helping them contact their people. And so I would say, Mike, look, something is happening. You got to check it out. Hey, you know, I don't know if it's for you or not, but I am excited about it. Something that really helps people, something that is unknown to 99% of the population, and it's not a fly-by-night thing. It's really proven. Listen, as soon as you get out of the Starbucks here, have you got an audio player in your car?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Would you take this, whatever it is I'm holding, a CD or whatever, would you play it in your car the moment you get into your car? Because I think you'll be blown away by the information. And I know you're going to have questions, so I want to call you later. I always set up the follow-up right in the initial meeting.
Great advice.
Many people don't want to follow up because, well, I just saw Mike yesterday. I don't want to bother him.
Right.
If you don't follow up in 24 to 48 hours. But it's like how you do it. You know, I don't want to bother you. I'd say, hey, Mike, you probably had some questions from that CD I gave you yesterday, right? Oh, you haven't heard it? Well, listen, why don't you play it today, and I'll call you tonight. Long story short, I decided to get out 100. I contacted about 1 or 2 a day, some days more, some days less, some days nobody. But within about 3-4 months, I got 100 info packs, large envelope, with an audio, a video, and a small brochure on my business card. And I just want people to look at the information. And I wanted everyone, even if they had no interest, to look at the information. Because some people, after hearing the testimonials, would call me up and say, is this for real? and some of them got involved. Not everyone did, but some did. So it's not about whether I think they're going to be interested or not. You have no idea where people are truly at. I thought I had some really close friends who I thought they would eat this up. Not one of them believed that the products would work, ever came to a meeting, but just people I knew from work, from real estate, and people I met, and from network marketing, who actually got involved. So my numbers are this: 100 people in 100 days. 33 came to a meeting. These are approximate numbers. I'm not as mathematical as you are, Mike.
Is a meeting in the sense of the word a one-on-one, or is it a live event like a preview?
A preview, some kind of a group event.
Okay.
About 35 came to a meeting. 20 at least signed up and bought something, whether they bought a mini or a pair of insoles or a whole bunch of products. But 5 of those were business builders who are ready to run today. And so I've learned, you want to cut to the chase, as the saying goes. Finding those people was everything. Because my business, just like in your case too, I know, Michael, I'm still getting paid on activity I did in January, February, and March of 1992, 21 years ago. I'm sure glad I worked 8 days a week.
Of those 5 people, Bo, how many of them stayed in the business?
2.
Cool. Okay. So 2 people out of 100 people is like 2%, and some people might think, well, that's dismal numbers, but I can vouch for Bo. He's made multiple millions of dollars by those 100 presentations.
And of course, that was just the start. But getting your plane off the ground means getting up to silver and gold quickly. It's not getting to silver. I think we should drop the word silver. In fact, I was on a gold training I was on the silver training that Alfredo was doing from head office. And the first step, go gold. Yeah. And I think we got to change that.
Go gold, 90 days. Yeah. So how long did it take you to go gold? I think you breezed through silver in the first month. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No. Different comp plan, 2 months to silver.
Yes.
And of course, I won with you the trip to Japan, which was a life-changing experience.
Yes, there were 5 Canadians in a group of about 125 North Americans in a group of about 3,500 Asians. Talk about mind-blowing. Okay, go on.
And with silver my second month, luckily, because I found a really strong business builder in Ihor Lenko, I realized the value of working with my people, not just about sponsoring people, waiting to produce something. Sponsor and activate. So if I sponsored somebody, Joe, who do you know? Let's go see them now. Let's get in the car now. Or when I actually sponsored a chiropractor, remember Seymour?
Yeah.
He signed up. We did 50 calls in the first afternoon. In fact, he told me, because he had more network marketing experience than I had, he says, I signed him up in a coffee shop. And he said, do you have a place where you can make some calls? I said, yeah, sure, my place. We went over to my place. He brought a 3-ring binder with hundreds of network marketing business cards. Network marketing junkie, as you know.
Did he bring anybody to the table?
Quite a few. We sponsored quite a few. But the main thing is that this is the norm of network marketing. He did not go on to be very successful, but he led me to someone else who led me to Ihor Lenko. So you want to get people up in silver and gold as quickly as possible. That doesn't mean they're going to be Royal Diamond or be here years from now, but they can lead you to people for whom Nikken is the right thing. We never, as you know, Mike, we can't make anybody want to do Nikken. You just show it to a lot of people, and a few go, oh my God, like I did and you did, oh my God, this is what I want to do the rest of my life.
Okay, Bo, there's still a question of, is there something you would recommend today for somebody who's listening as far as a tool that you kind of like? Maybe one or two.
There is. I put together, as you know, an audio tape. I had been in music and recording, and I have a really great team, and just a bunch of testimonials I accumulated over the years. So it's called Discover Nikken, the Ideal Business. Available.
Where can they get that?
They can get that from Focus on
Momentum Tools. Oh, okay. So they can get it from focusongrowth.com, focusongrowth.com. And correct me if I'm wrong, is that also available as a link on YouTube anywhere?
It is on YouTube. If you go to the Bo Tanas channel, there's quite a few videos and amazing testimonials, doctors, and other things. So yes, it is available online as well.
Bo also put together a website with multiple links on it that I personally use called idealbusiness.ca. Idealbusiness.ca. Great stuff on there, including a short video by Rick Murphy, a number of doctor videos, etc. Some really cool stuff. I use that as one of my promotional links to email somebody. Now,
and I think Nikken is in the process of creating a new video. I just spoke with Kurt the other day, and so I'm excited about getting a new up-to-date corporate video. I think the key is pick one or two or three audios, a video or two. See, whoever you are, talk to your sponsor, see what they're using. You want to be in sync with your team. However, the key is just to get it out to a lot of people. You want everyone to review the basic information that we cover in the preview: company, industry, products, testimonials, money.
Okay, Bo, you went gold in what period of time?
Actually, a year and a half.
Okay.
But I was, because I had many, probably 20 silvers in my group, deeper than my group when I went gold.
So you were making money as a gold. I mean,
I was making money as a silver.
Okay.
Good money as a silver.
Great. Okay. Now, I know about that time frame. Nikken entered Mexico, and you made a decision. Actually, I made a decision. I got to preface this too, because at that time, I was spending the money on a lot of the events, a lot of the venues, the events, the previews, and so forth, the public events. I was the one who was funding that, and I was recouping costs through ticket sales at the door to consultants and so forth. But I made an executive decision that I wanted to be part of the launch of Mexico. So I gathered my team of silvers, and at that time we were having weekly meetings with silvers, and you had to be a silver and above to attend that meeting. It was a strategy meeting and a breakfast meeting, well attended, and it really drove people to want to be silver so they could be part of that meeting. In any event, I made a decision to go to Mexico and launch my business and informed you. And I remember some of the questions that came up. Well, who's going to take care of the meetings? And I said, you got to sort that out. And what happened was, Bo, you stepped up to the plate and you took over. You put together an association where everybody co-opt, etc. And that was sort of I saw that as a real launching point for you as a leader in the marketplace. Now, that happened yet again another time with another consultant in the Toronto marketplace when you decided to expand outside of Toronto. And so I learned a quick lesson, and that is you got to make room for leaders to lead, even if it hurts. And so you took on that mantle, and you became the point person for venues, events, etc. And that was a huge lift for your business. You took on the responsibility, and the business followed.
Well, you don't come there as what am I thinking of? You're not going to the movies. You're running the show. You're producing the Broadway play. So it's a whole different point of view. And ultimately, you realize it's your business. And if you think you're going to make high income just showing up to a show and watching it and not really putting your heart and soul into it, everything is about leadership. And anybody can become a leader. And I got to tell you, once again, thank you. You set the pace. I mean, you were sponsoring people like a madman, and I followed your lead as well. For those of you who don't know, Mike contacted dozens and dozens of people weekly, or the equivalent of, and sponsored 35 people in 60 days. Few people in Nikken ever matched that. And you could say you were unsuccessful, but you found several legs that went on to becoming Diamond and Royal Diamond.
In fact, 2.
Exactly. And one of mine was under Ihorlenko, and one was under, remember Tom McMillan? But deep under Tom McMillan is a lady named Gloria Nava in Mexico, and she's now a frontline Royal Diamond. So out of my initial push, ultimately, that same happened. And so you, in fact, you had meetings for free for everyone for several weeks. I remember that. And
it was like you said, it's an investment. And some investments make you money, some investments cost you money. But I had no reason to believe that this wasn't going to make me money. My heart and soul was in it, so I committed like I expected. I expected to make money, and so I invested like somebody who expected to make money.
And to me, where's the guesswork? I mean, products that produce almost instantaneous results, a positive, with people who are suffering, come out of wheelchairs in weeks or months. Like, I still can't believe it. So, a friend of mine from the Toronto area, she moved back to China. Her husband has Lou Gehrig's disease, constant pain. Guess what? After 2 nights on the sleep system, maybe a little longer, no more pain. ALS. Now, it's not curing his disease. We make no medical claims, but his life quality has just changed in a week. So when you have that, plus amazing nutritionals, plus the whole wellness home concept. And so large numbers, launch your business. And launching isn't just getting to silver, it's getting to gold and platinum.
Okay.
I think a real focus is to be silver within, actually with the easier compensation plan, you should do it in a month or two at the latest, but you have up to 90 days. But don't stop sponsoring. Many people make one mistake I think you and I did not make because of our previous experience. Many people equate somebody in their downline on the computer as being a full-blown committed consultant, visionary, leader. But I've learned that most consultants are still prospects for a year or two, and their belief level in themselves or in Nikken or in the products isn't really there yet. So you have to sponsor many people, offer to help them, but not everyone's ready to roll.
Okay. You did this in phases, Bo. You like me, did this in phases. So when you decided to go to Mexico, and did you know anybody when you went to Mexico?
No, I was going there to support downline.
Okay, and that sort of came out of the fact that you had Spanish-speaking people there. In fact, I was working with one of them, Pupe, and who's now a Royal Diamond in your network, and she was extremely active in helping to launch the market. She was our mouthpiece in so many ways, and you were able to, again, leverage. The key word here, in fact, I just want to say two words because I keep remembering this and then I forget to say it. But Bo Tanas is synonymous with tenacity. That's what we used to say, tenacious Tanas. Because the thing that you always did was just, you did follow up a lot. You stuck to your guns, you stuck with the business. If you remember that first month in Nikken in Canada, what happened? I'm sure that story will come out one day, but we were actually shut down for, I don't know, was it 8 weeks in Canada?
That's right. You know it as well as I do. You were holding your first big event. Reed Nelson had just flown into town. Because of your activity and my activity, we had a big meeting pretty quickly. And anything new, of course, attracts a lot of people. Reed Nelson was there, the big name. And we were just driving to the meeting, and we got a call, or he got a call, and from the company that said, shut her down. Somebody had run an ad in a Canadian newspaper making medical claims. And somehow the Canadian government didn't have a sense of humor about that. And so they said, what did Nikken tell Reed Nelson? We're going to send you mattresses without the magnets in them or something. And so, you know, if your goal, your reason for doing something is big enough, and mine was really immense because of family, and because luckily we had Bruce Black, we could not get products. We had a lot of momentum, a lot of desire, and people wanting products. We had a big meeting, and then boom, we were shut down that very day that we had a huge meeting. People were signing up. We could sign them up, but we couldn't sell the magnetic products. So, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, and we realized that, gee, Toronto's only an hour and a half from Buffalo. So we worked out a situation where we had products shipped to Buffalo. We'd order $50,000 worth of products, fill a van with them, and bring them back. I went silver while products were not available in Toronto.
Now, this is really important because I think we are at a point in the history of people where the work ethic that you demonstrated and others at the time seems to be less today than it was then. And you said it when there was really a need, and you really had a need. So you were prepared to do whatever it took to succeed, including meet with the most unexpected situation, being shut down, not knowing if we were going to be reopened, but having faith that we would. I remember that we believed, hey, this is a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company. They're not going to let us down. And we operated as if that was true. And you did. So I think that's a really strong testament to one of the core ingredients for success, because there were a lot of people who joined the business at the same month, the same year that you and I did, who have not made millions. And it's not Nikken's fault, and it's not Nikken's technology, it's not Nikken's compensation plan. What is it, Bo?
It's people. It's not network marketing's fault either. You know, most people have an employee attitude where they really are not willing to take responsibility. And I think one of the great gifts of Nikken, the products, the health, the relationships, is that it puts you in a place where you have to make it happen. I was just talking to my son about this. He's going off to LA, and that's a whole exciting story. And but I was there, 40 years ago. I made the trip to LA, and LA is a very exciting place, but it can be very brutal. It can eat you up. The cliche story of a girl with stars in her eyes goes to be a Hollywood starlet, winds up being a streetwalker because she didn't have the skill, or whatever happened. But you just have to be focused on the job, know why you're there, what you're going for, and never expect anything less than achieving it. It may not be easy, may not happen immediately, but sooner or later, I think like you did, we met Reed Nelson, and we go, if he can do it, sooner or later, maybe I can't make what he did, maybe I can make 1/10. I remember you saying, and I remember agreeing with that. He was making $50,000 a month. I thought, well, maybe I can't make that, but maybe I can make $5,000 a month, and that was big money back then.
And that's a really great point. What would an extra $5,000 a month to do for a family, any family listening to this call? So I think
now more than ever.
Yeah, now more than ever. So let's fast forward a bit, because you did go platinum, you did go diamond, and you did receive the award for Consultant of the Year. Was that a highlight in your life?
Sure was. What a surprise. I remember being nominated with a bunch of wonderful people, and I knew it wasn't going to be me. So I think I would even let myself, it would be like a new actor in their first movie gets an Oscar nomination. You're not going to win. So you can't even set yourself to even think about it. So I was truly shocked. I had a hint, though. The president of the company, I don't wear ties. To me, in fact, I'm wearing a Nikken T-shirt. We got this at the last convention. I was going to shave, but I only shave for public meetings, because for me, Nikken is truly about the freedom, and I live the freedom. And so to me, a tie is a corporate thing. That's my thing. And so we were just about to go into the convention room, and the president, Kendall, said, Bo, maybe you should get a tie. Okay, what's he telling me? I ran into the gift shop, bought a gaudy red tie, and I wound up being
is history. Awesome, and yeah, I was there, and that is I think probably the most exciting moment after your own recognition as Consultant of the Year, is watching somebody on your team, especially someone who you've shared the entire experience with, be acknowledged. That's just amazing.
And you preceded me by many years too, so.
Well, you have caught up, my friend, and you have a huge global business that's, in 30-plus countries now and growing. You have the largest organization in Latin America, and that was due to the constant effort of supporting an organization that was there, nurturing it in the way that you do so well. We still have a question that I want to ask on behalf of the person. It's more pertaining to the changes that are happening right now at the company, particularly concerning the Vital Packs. This is from Bill Cottle on Google+. Would love to hear how you are implementing the new Vital Packs program and integrating them into the Vital Wellness presentations and keeping it all to less than an hour. But if you've mastered that, boy, hats are off to you, because I still haven't.
Well, we just keep trying to get better. Kaizen, never-ending improvement, that Japanese word, Kaizen. It is important to try to keep it to an hour, because I've learned, less is more. I mean, we could speak for weeks about any one product, and is that duplicatable? It always comes back down to that important question. It's not what works, it's what's duplicatable by the average person. And so a presentation that's short, simple, cuts to the chase, amazing product, solid company, a chance to make a better life, balanced living, some great products, and there's money by sharing it with a lot of people. But we're just getting familiar with the new packs, and I know Dennis Estes and some of the other Royal Alliance leaders have put together those packs. And
stay tuned for the upcoming revised PowerPoint presentations that are being developed as well, because we have to do some number crunching.
Yeah. So yeah.
Where you get that is at theroyalalliance.com. Okay, well, we're coming up on 10 minutes, and so you've had this incredible success. Was there ever a time, or many times, where maybe somebody in your business left and that rocked your confidence?
Absolutely. We live in a real world. If everything was going to be easy, everybody'd be a millionaire. So absolutely. I think the key is, I learned a long time ago from a guy named Big Al Tom Schreiter. He wrote some great books. He said, just get in and never quit. And he trains and his writes with humor. His books are almost like comedy books. And he made a joke of it. If I had known I could quit, I would have quit a long time ago. Nobody told me I could quit, so I didn't quit. I just kept going and eventually became successful. Ha ha ha! But you just get in and you never quit. Because sooner or later you will find the right people for whom Nikken is the right thing. It's not that you sold somebody, you convinced somebody who didn't want to do it. We just show it to many people, and for those who are ready, they'll either get the products and or the business. And out of the many you sponsor, if you sponsor 10, maybe you'll get one business builder that will go on to go silver. You may get more. Great. But I think we should all of you who are maybe new to sales, new to business, new to marketing, increase your scope of numbers. We're so used to, as employees, everything going very smoothly relatively to what an entrepreneur has to go through.
You remind me of a great tool that's online at the Royal Alliance. It's on my favorites page. So look for me, Michael DiMuccio, on YouTube. It's Making the Shift. Great audio that really speaks to what you just did about making the shift mentally and emotional to the entrepreneur mindset, because it's not as simple as, hey, I'm now in Nikken, hey, I'm now operating a B quadrant business, hey, I'm now going to be a successful entrepreneur and get this network marketing thing overnight. It isn't like that. Do you have a book that you recommend?
One of the most influential books of my life was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey.
Oh, Covey, yes.
Just so huge. If you haven't read it, whoever you are, stop everything, shut this computer down and go get that book. Only because these are key life paradigms, views of life, and ways of thinking and acting. One is just to be proactive. Another one is to sharpen the saw. You'll read the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Very, very important. In fact, when we first got into our first network marketing company, I remember reading that.
That was one of my first reads as well, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Dr. Stephen Covey. The early books by John Kalinch are still very valid. It's like
Being the Best You Can Be in MLM.
And 17 Secrets of the Master Prospectors.
I actually really like that book. I thought that was excellent information, still relevant today.
Absolutely. I mean, these are solid concepts like gravity. It will never become out of date. However, we can update things a great deal. So those are just a few of them. However, I just wanted to say one thing that I thought really helped me, and maybe you too, Mike, when we got into Nikken. Because of prior network marketing experience, I didn't assume, because I had people in my downline, that they were going to do anything. So I kept sponsoring, and you kept sponsoring. And I would suggest anyone to sponsor 10 times more than you think you really need, because you need it. There's something in life called the 80-20 rule, the Pareto Principle. Right, and this is in the Smart Start Guide, at the back of the Smart Start Guide, which is on the royalalliance.com, under definitions and under key principles of success.
Do you use that tool to get people started?
Yes, and I get new people to memorize those definitions and those basic principles, because I knew about the 80-20 rule. So if I sponsor 10 people and 8 quit, I couldn't have cared less. This is the way it's supposed to go. This is life. And so I was just watching an incredible movie, Jane Eyre. I love historical movies. People had a lot of kids. You know why? Half of them died. And you had to have people on the farm. So large numbers. And so sponsor many people. 20% of your organization will produce 80% of all the volume. So you need to find a few key men and women who really want to do something. And they're not average thinkers. They're not average doers. However, while someone may be excited today, there's no guarantees they're going to be excited next week, next month. So your objective and your responsibility as a sponsor, where the word comes from, is to be truthful, help them get in, get started, help them build a check, help them build a downline quickly. Because if they have 3 or 4 people and some of their people have people, they can't quit. They have something that could grow into something big. So your objective is to put them in a position where they have something to lose. Remember that phrase, Mike?
Yeah.
And write that down, guys. Put the people you sponsor in a position where they have something to lose. If they
In other
put,
words, take the initiative to launch them, and that's the terminology I like to use. Launch people into their business. I think the responsibility a sponsor has, and it's really one main responsibility as a sponsor, to give somebody the best start you know how to give them, knowing what you now know.
and when you find someone who says, yes, I want to do it, you put all of your focus, or at least 60, 70% of whatever time you have to do Nikken every week, into that guy or gal. Get them to silver, but even help them to get to gold, because silver is just barely a beginning. And when they're earning income, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a month or more, they're in. And help
When
some of
they
their
have
people.
silvers who are doing the same thing, who are qualifying, they have a vested interest in meeting those requirements, and so they'll continue to move forward, which is what we did. When we saw the growth in our business, we were excited about that. It kept us going. But again, let me just get back to what about
Questions.
those times when you are losing your faith? We have about 4 minutes. What about those times? How did you overturn that, and maybe address the role that HBM played in your life?
I have been on a journey of self-knowledge since I was 18, I think. I didn't do very well at school. I was an average student. In fact, I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. I was really into NASA, into space flight. And I once drew a picture board of me standing next to an Apollo rocket with a wrench in my hand, because I'm very hands-on. I didn't know there was mathematics involved, and I was just average, B, C, and you had to be A+ in math to be an engineer. I was just B and C. And so I had a lot of experiences in my life, and as you mentioned, not a lot ruffles me because I've been through so much. And I remember Buddha having a big influence on me in my life, and reading the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. Great book, guys. Get it. Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And just, although you want to be proactive, there's a saying there, if all comes to he who waits. Now, it's not sitting waiting for something to happen, but sooner or later, if you have the right intention and you're doing what has to be done, things will turn out. So you have to have faith in something larger than yourself, or just the power of thought. And so I've had a lot of opportunities, as you had, to give up, to get really discouraged, but you know what? These products still work. These products blow my mind to this day, and there's many companies, and there are a lot of companies making a lot of money, and they all have some pretty decent products. Nobody has what we have. I feel we have a magical combination of elements, and so I just could never see myself not doing it.
And you've made a lot of friends in the process, and you've traveled the world. What's some of the best things that's happened for you with that respect to the traveling?
So many things. Dreams do come true if you work at it and keep dreaming at the same time. Look at your life cycle. Attend Humans Being More training. Look at that life cycle morning and evening. I have them all over my house, in my bathroom. And a guest came up to my top floor in my house and used the bathroom because the others were occupied. And she said, wow, you guys actually do this stuff, like put life cycles on the wall and look at them. Yeah, duh, it works, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the basics, just do them over and over.
Law of attraction, right? That's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Graham Scarden has a question. What are your positive personal views of the significant overhauls to the compensation plan? My opinion is that moves Nikken into a new realm of work/reward/possibility for humanity. How do you feel about the changes in the comp plan? It affects us the most. And let's just be frank with the people listening. The people at the top end of the compensation plan are affected the most in terms of these new changes at the higher ranks. So how do you feel about that?
I think everything is about future growth. Everything. And so for a new person, it is the right thing for the new person. Puts his focus on creating a larger organization, being wider and being deeper. And the idea that you don't have to have your frontline people qualify, that it's about having silvers and golds in your organization and having several organizations, not just one or two, it puts the focus in the right direction, and it'll pay extremely well. So I think it's all positive.
I think that's a really good point, and that is if it favors the people we're working with, the new people, then it favors us. Simple.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Bo, you and I have shared 21 years at Nikken. This is the celebration month, I guess, of our first month, official month, or full month in Nikken. Any final words for the audience listening? Anything that comes to mind? 21-year history.
I think a great viewpoint that I've adopted and sometimes share in events and trainings is that if you walk around and you have the viewpoint that it's all good, just say it, it's all good. You go to a meeting, somebody doesn't show up, hey man, it's all good. Because you can learn something from it. Things happen for a reason sometimes. I think we're above ground, right? We're on the green side of the grass. Having that attitude of gratitude is really important. We're with a stable company that's done billions in sales, and I know, and you know, I've had people's lives totally change because of the products. And to me, that is a signal of a great opportunity, a great long-term opportunity, not a flash in the pan. And we've seen some juices and some one-shot products come, and they make hundreds of millions in sales, and they're like way down. You know, some of the latest companies from last year are down 30–40%. That's big in 1 year. So we've seen it. So ultimately, everything comes down to fundamentals. We have amazing products. 99.9% of the people have never seen or heard of. They change lives. They're exciting products where people can experience instant results, instant energy with a demo. And so I'm excited. Get in, stay in, never, never quit. The rewards are there, as you know, and I have. We've traveled the world. We've been to the pyramids of Egypt, where the original network marketers were.
Well, Bo, I want to thank you for being my guest this evening on Hanging Out with Mike DiMuccio. You're a pleasure to work with, to have as a friend, a mentor to many. Congratulations on your success and continued success. One of the things that you said that I love as a line is don't ask for it to be easy, ask for it to be worth it. That's such a great way of looking at that attitude of gratitude. So thank you again for being on tonight. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. And of course, this will be played back tomorrow on YouTube. Pass it out, share it. Please share it with others so that we can get more viewership and more people will have the benefit of this information. Thank you. Good night. Thanks, Bo.
Thanks, Mike. Good night, everybody.